Welcome to the Relax, It's Retirement podcast with Josh Leonard from Leonard Advisory Group. In this podcast, we help those nearing retirement greet it with a well-prepared smile. Join Josh and his guests to learn the retirement and tax planning tips you need so you too can live your golden years with the happiness and excitement you deserve. Hear stories from his years of experience to help you transition into a fun and intentional retirement. Now, onto the show.
Hello and welcome to the Relax, It's Retirement podcast with your host, Josh Leonard, where we talk about transitioning into retirement with intent. I'm Wendy McConnell. Hi, Josh. How are you?
Great, Wendy. How are you today?
Oh, well, I'm hanging in there. We were in the green room talking about how fall has definitely arrived.
It's here. It's here. And I was pretty pessimistic about our cooler, gloomy. We got very gray skies here. Needed a little extra lighting for this recording. But our guest today, Pete, took it on a way brighter side. So
yes. So, Pete, welcome. We appreciate you being here.
Thank you, Wendy. Yep. Thanks, Josh, for having me. And yeah, couldn't be more excited to be on the pod here.
Oh, okay. So, Josh, tell us about Pete. Who is he? Why is he in our podcast studio? What's his plan?
yeah, we picked him up off the street as a stranger. Figured we'd throw him in and talk finances.
Nice.
Pete Belcastro, CFP, aka Planner Pete, is the latest advisor to join our team at the Leonard Advisory Group. He joined back in August of this year, so wanted to have him on the podcast today to introduce him, share his origin story a little bit, and help our listeners get familiar with Pete.
All right. I got a cup of coffee. You guys go.
Oh, that's great. So yeah, Pete, I met Pete through a mutual friend. One of my old neighbors when we lived in Pittsburgh became a very good friend of ours. And Pete and Dan knew each other. So Pete and I have been talking for a few years and looking for an opportunity to see if it made sense to work together. So we were honored to be able to bring him on the team back in August. And Pete brings some great experience in. So welcome, Pete. And let's share with listeners all about you.
Yeah, thanks, Josh. And yeah, it was pretty neat how we did meet. Both of us are great friends with Dan, and it's funny how it worked out. And that was in the North Hills here of Pittsburgh. I'm a Pittsburgh kid. I was born here, raised here. My family's here. I got two kids. I got a son that's 14 and a daughter that's 11, both in the North Hills public school system here. And I love it here. I don't know any better. Of course.
I just knew. So
of course. Yep. We follow the Steelers and the Penguins, and we try and catch a Pirates game here and there.
I'm on the other side of your state. I'm an Eagles fan.
Oh, geez. Well, I'm sorry to hear. No,
Wendy, I don't know if we've talked about this.
Last year, you can feel sorry for me all you want. We
didn't that is true.
Yeah.
That is true. Yeah.
Do we need to stick up fingers here?
No. Yeah. How
many rings?
How many hands do you need? Yeah. How many?
Are you a Flyers fan? I don't know that we've ever breached this subject.
I don't really follow any other sport aside from football.
Okay.
I did start following baseball this year because, again, the Phillies were in the World Series last year. Again, didn't win, but on their way back this year, knock on wood. But if I'm going to root for a team, it's going to be the Philly team. Yeah.
Okay. Fair enough.
Lucky you have baseball to root for. That's for sure.
Yeah, I know.
But so I, my family's from around here, and half my family's actually from Greenfield downtown of Pittsburgh, and then the other half's from Greensburg, out kind of central PA here. I had a lot of family around growing up, some great role models. My both of my parents and even grandparents, grandfather and grandmothers were always involved in a lot of parts of my life. So any activities I was in, they were always right beside me. So I followed their role, their model, and I'm really involved with right now with what the kids are doing. So my son, he's in we do fall ball right now, so I'm helping out coaching baseball, and then we'll move into basketball here soon. And along the way, he's also in the scouting program. So we now have scouts, and I'm lucky enough to be on the board there, and a scout master. So I get to assistant scout master. So I get to go camping with the kids, and we get to start fires and learn how to use axes and hatchets and all that fun stuff. And
Is that in the promotional material?
it is. That's my promotional. Yes, it's
Pete,
so
no selling popcorn on the podcast,
no.
though.
Fundraising is always I actually have your pizza rolls here in the freezer for you here, Josh, when you get into town. So we're always fundraising. And my daughter, she's involved with dance. So she has dance actually 4 days a week. She's at the studio, so I help out as a prop dad. So we have a lot of props, and we move them in and out of a truck, and we build them. And I learned how to tape dance floors, so that the seams are all tight there. So I still try and help out, even though I don't know too much about dance. I'm still trying to be there. And so it's me and my wife. We've been married for a little over 14 years now, but we've been together since 2005. So we were just looking at, there's here in Pittsburgh, we have the hockey program here, a lot of Stanley Cups. And our first date was at Sidney Crosby's first goal here. So, and Malkin and Letang are the longest trioed, so 17 years, they're the longest trio in sports that have been playing together that long. So I was lucky enough to, find somebody here in Pittsburgh.
So, Pete, it kind of sounds like a legendary marriage tied in with the legendary Pittsburgh sports dynasty.
Correct. Yes.
Wendy, how do you feel about that?
I'm all for it. I think it's great. I think you should root for the home team.
That's it. Yeah,
okay,
we do.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's married in 2009 there. So I don't know if you knew this, Wendy, but we not only did we win a Stanley Cup that year, it was actually a Super Bowl as well.
Oh,
so,
okay. Well,
yes.
congratulations. What is it? Don't make me do math. It was like 17 years ago.
14. Yeah.
Math is not in my
but that wasn't the last one.
Yeah, that was City of Champions, I think, was the title at the time.
That's right.
I got to tell you guys, I love when people's teams win.
Sure,
because as a long-suffering Eagles fan,
right.
had no idea how elated you would get when your team actually did win one of the championships.
Yeah,
it's a great.
It's
a great feeling.
One of the best days of my life.
Yeah, we try not to talk about football in my home, with my wife being from Cleveland. Browns Steelers fans, there's not, all that much compassion there.
No. Oh gosh.
Yeah, so that's really a lot of myself personally. So Eagle Scout, Pittsburgh kid, and I'm just really involved with my family. So on the professional side of things, I got into this business out of college, and I'm not sure. There's a lot of different ways to get into financial planning and investments. And the way I got in was cold calling, trying to brush up business on my own, so trying to make a couple hundred calls a day, and just working from 9 to 5, then calling again from 7 to 9. And it was fun at the time, good group of friends, but it got old a little fast. After about a year, I was able to transition to an investment banker role at a larger bank here in Pittsburgh at a retail location. So, that got me into rounding out my financial background as far as, hey, here's the investment piece, but there's a lot of other parts to our lives as far as not just a bank account, checking savings, but, look at the loans and making sure that people understand the ramifications of loans and credit. So I know we'll get into in our conversation here today, we'll dig into that, but there's a lot of things that people can do to really help themselves out when it comes to loans and credit. And there's also some pitfalls that people can get into. And one of those things are that there's fraud out there that could happen, whenever you're looking into getting credit cards or trying to find a good rate or looking at different mortgages or different loans. So, so I was able to really get a great understanding of the loan process from start to finish. Really got a good understanding of the best way for people to, pursue their goals here and not really affect their long-term financial future for just getting something right now in the short term.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about how you and Josh are working together and what you do is compared to what Josh, I mean, I assume you do probably everything and Josh just tries to look pretty.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's correct. That's the goal here. Uh,
Well,
well, Pete had one more stop on the bus before he joined the team too.
yeah, so after working at the bank, I was transitioned to a, well-known financial firm here in Pittsburgh. They did a lot of, work on the radio, and probably about 30, 35 years ago. And whenever I started working there, I started to pursue the CFP designation, which is a certified financial planner. And what that is it's pretty much, we consider it the gold standard designation for financial advising. And the reason is because it does touch on a lot of different aspects. I told you I had investments and then I had kind of the bank loan side of things. This digs even deeper, and the CFP digs even deeper into, so focusing on all aspects of our financial world really helps us fine tune not only the investment piece, but the way that we can hit our goals and, be successful in retirement.
Yeah. So Pete, while you were studying for the CFP, did you feel like you were expanding that knowledge a lot, or was it more like maybe, Finance 101 in college where maybe you felt like you knew a lot of the stuff?
Oh, it definitely opened my eyes up to a lot of things that unless you were kind of forced to sit there and study them, you wouldn't. A lot of things to do with the property, a lot of things to do with the taxes, which is, I think after accounting 2 in college, I realized that this isn't just debits and credits and finding a zero at the end. There's a lot of aspects to this. So just being aware of those things and, being proactive, you can really set yourself up to be successful, in your planning.
Yeah, and I think that was one of the things as we had talks going back and forth with you, talking about joining the team, that was something that I felt was the right fit. I mean, we've been always trying to make people aware of more of the aspects of retiring. I think traditionally in our business, it was, we'll help you manage your assets. Well, that's only so helpful if we're creating huge capital gains returns that then make your Medicare more expensive and your Social Security taxed at a higher rate. I mean, all of these pieces come together to make a total financial picture. Your background, not only in banking for a while, but undertaking the CFP designation has been extremely helpful, and I think is a great way to add to the chemistry of our group to provide more value to clients on an ongoing basis. So Pete, your added value to our business is clear, but as you were thinking about transitioning from your previous job, moving over on the team, moving on to the Leonard Advisory Group team, what attracted you to us? Kind of what prompted those conversations that we had been having?
Yeah, and I've always, liked the idea of a small family company. I believe that the flexibility and not being tied to any sort of large entity is the best way for financial planning, because you can be flexible. You don't have to be tied to any sort of product or pulled this way or that way. It's really all dependent on our clients' needs, wants, their goals. And whenever, I was thinking about trying to find a firm that was smaller. And Josh, you and I have always been talking here over the years, and there was a natural transition here between whenever your father retired. And I saw that I could fit in really, really nice because of your background and bringing into my backgrounds, not only with the CFP, but, having some of the banking background. It really, I felt like it put together kind of the missing pieces of the picture here and really filled in all those holes.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think since you've joined the team too, Pete, there's been a couple of things that have stood out to me. One, in talking through like tax planning stuff. We use a lot of software, which I think has been a little bit different from the firm you were at previously. But I was quite impressed I'm running everything through software. Pete's got his pad of paper, proving out the math on his pad of paper. And, so Pete has all the knowledge to do it. And, one of the things I think working together is we're able to, deliver that advice a little bit quicker, right? So we'll try to build out the systems where if a client calls, we're able to answer that question quickly and accurately to help them move forward and not worry about these things in life. I think another big thing that stood out to me is your presence in the community. we recently had our annual client appreciation event, and we had partnered with a local charity, North Hills Community Outreach, to help raise some funds for them. So we asked clients to donate, the company matched, and Pete was coming on board. We had already sort of had this figured out, and he's like, oh, my wife's on like the junior leadership board for them, and let me make some contacts there, and helped us, coordinate the event and have a great impact. So that was really cool. Pete, tell us some of the other activities you do in the community.
Yeah, that was so. North Hills Community Outreach has been a part of my life since, pretty much when I was born. The church that I went to growing up and still go to, St. Paul's United Methodist there, they started this program. And yeah, it was, Josh asked me if I was familiar, and I was like, yes, are you going to have the director speak? And he's like, no, I don't know. Tom Baker. So I was like, hey, I can have him come. And so it was pretty neat that I was very familiar with the charity. And I do think it's important. A big aspect of scouting and that I grew up in that was that you had to have a certain amount of hours of community service to advance in those ranks. And I believe that that's a great way, and it sets a good groundwork for anybody in that program, and it did for myself. So another way I do try and give back is there's a program here, and it's actually nationwide. It's called RIF, or Reading is Fundamental. So I read for RIF Pittsburgh here, and what they do is they partner you up with a student, one of our city schools. So I've been at 3 different elementary schools and primary schools here in Pittsburgh, and you get the opportunity to be paired up with a student, and you and that student have an hour that you get to share and really do whatever they want to, as far as really focused around reading or books, depending on their level. So, so that's a great program. And right now I'm at Wow Elementary. It's down in the Hill District of Pittsburgh. And, it's a place that really has not the best, I guess, a record here. If you tell people you're going down there, usually it's, geez, why are you going there? But going down there, I love the community. It's pretty neat, a place. It's got so much potential, and the kids are just awesome.
I really love that. So is the idea that you read to them stories that may be above their reading level?
If they don't want to read, you could read to them, but I usually try and have the student read. So there's the books and the resources provided are just very wide ranging, from anywhere from just a picture book to, level readers to, Captain Underpants or Dog Man. I don't know if those are like kind of chapter kind of comic books. So
yeah, I have a husband. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, you have an adult child in your home too?
Yeah, I have the Disney Channel, and because of the man in the house.
That's nice.
I like it, Wendy. So I mean, I know, Pete, you've told me, that you've developed some closer relationships with the kids that you're reading with. And to me, it kind of sounds like it's almost like a sort of a mentoring position where you're helping, of course, helping with reading, but that kind of expands beyond just the words in the book.
It is just, I try and make it a positive hour focused around that individual, and that they know that I'm here just for them, and I came here just for them, and I'm going to be here the entire year. So providing that consistency and, just something they know that this is just part of their day or part of their week, or that it's all about them. And it really is. Anybody that goes through the program gets a lot more out of it, I guarantee, than the kids get, because you do have that personal relationship, but it is strictly that time that you have with them, that hour. And it's pretty amazing how the kids do look forward to it. And you can have somebody that's not even interested in any books, and all of a sudden you're like, look how many books we read this year, or look at the games that we got to play.
Yeah, that's great, Pete. I know for a lot of our folks that are retired and spend substantial amounts of their day volunteering, they always say that is like the most rewarding work, and they never imagined how much gratification they're getting out of it, right? You're helping people in need, but you're also receiving that benefit. And I think, it's also humbling and helps gain perspective, right? Not everyone has a perfect home structure or a lot of other things that maybe some of us that do take for granted at times. So I think it's always nice to gain a well-rounded perspective on life.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yep. Especially here in the North Hills or, in the other suburbs, sometimes we forget that there's people that are only a couple miles away that might have it a lot harder than we do here. They're still part of our community. So if you can lift somebody up there, it lifts all of us up.
Very good, Pete. Anything else that you want to share with listeners today? Any hobbies you do? I'm pretty sure you like golfing too. And, anything else that you want to share with our listeners today?
Anytime I get a chance to be outside, I'm usually outside. I love the woods. So if I get a chance to hike around, I love to do that. Love to take the kids out. I'm fortunate enough to have a little camp up north, and there's a trail right behind my camp, and it runs the whole way from North Dakota to Vermont, through Pennsylvania, through Michigan. So I love to go backpacking, bike rides. Here in Pittsburgh, we have some great bike trails. You can pretty much ride all over the city and not have to worry about getting on a road. So whenever I get that chance, I can. And yeah, of course, golf. Unfortunately, kids and other activities kind of eat into the golf game, but I try and take the kids on the course at least a couple times a year too. So that's the only time I get to golf there.
That's the way to do it, huh?
Yep. And yeah,
I joke with Yana all the time. She says, "Why don't you golf? Like, you're in finance. Everyone in finance golfs." And I'm like, "Well, honey, how many 4-hour habits do you want me to have?
Yeah.
I'm already doing this Iron Man stuff. I can start hunting too if you want me to. I'll just be gone all the time."
I think maybe she's giving you a hint, Josh, and you're just not taking it.
I don't think that's the case. But, that's one of the things that we've talked about is with our kids. If the boys get interested in golfing, we have some great golf programs in the community here in St. Joe that, hey, you know what? This is going to be great. If the kids are doing it, I'll go hang out with them on a Saturday. And that's typically my family time. So I don't want to be distracted from that with my own personal habits all the time. But certainly doesn't sound like a bad thing, driving around on some grass all day and, hanging out outside. So,
yeah.
Well, Pete, it was so great to meet you and get to know you. And you sound like a wonderful addition to the team.
Thank you, Wendy.
Josh, why don't you tell us how people can get in touch with you?
Yeah, so they can reach out to us at 412-998-PLAN. They can email me at jleonard@leonardadvisorygroup.com. They can check out our website at leonardadvisorygroup.com. Or if you want to send Pete a welcome email, you can shoot Pete an email at pete@leonardadvisorygroup.com.
All right. Well, thank you to you both. And thank you for listening. Please like, follow, and share this podcast with your friends. Until next time, I'm Wendy McConnell.
Thank you for listening to the Relax, It's Retirement podcast, the show that helps you transition into a happy, fun, and intentional retirement. Click the follow button to be notified when new episodes become available. Visit our website at www.leonardadvisorygroup.com or give us a call at 412-998-PLAN. And don't forget to click the follow button to be notified when new episodes become available. The information covered and posted represents the views and opinions of the guest and does not necessarily represent the views or opinions of Leonard Advisory Group, LLC. The content has been made available for informational and educational purposes only. The content is not intended to be a substitute for professional investing advice. Always seek the advice of your financial advisor or other qualified financial service professionals with any questions you may have regarding your investment planning.